I don't know if you want to follow my camera. I'm the best observer in the world. In the bottom left, representing your old team, Storm Gaming. He is the Red Zerg player. It's Silky.
And he's facing off against the European invader, the man in the top right. He's in the blue. He's from Sweden, but lives in Canada now. And he's currently teamless, which honestly is kind of a bit of a travesty. And I'm very disappointed in all of you SC2 teams out there. Somebody go sign this man. It's Namshar.
I don't know. Have you seen the Namstagram? Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay.
The what?
The Namstagram is Instagram. It's just him in, like, Ferraris and shit.
Oh! Yeah.
It's not actually, but I pretend it is. Okay, so, a little bit of insight for all of you. Silky doesn't have that much time, so I don't think we're going to have a 2-hour-long series.
So, I mean, this is kind of interesting, right? Because, like, the real talk is that obviously in a tournament like this, especially one that's as important as this, you do everything that you can to win.
Yeah.
But also, like, there is that moment where, like, Namshar is already a macro player.
Yeah.
He could just go hyper turtle mode, but also, like, there is that, like, mode of, like, all of us are kind of friends and know each other, especially the people who've been around for a while. Namshar and Silky definitely have a lot of mutual respect and do get along very well. So, like, Namshar is probably not gonna go out of his way to be super turtley, because, like, you don't want to be that guy. Like, but I mean, if the game goes that way, the game goes that way. What is this? Okay.
Okay, let's think about this. What could it be? It could be a hidden base Ling Flood?
I think, honestly, it might just be him setting up for a macro game in a way that, like, Silky, if he scouts this third, he's not going to be, like, super aggressive with Lings, right? Because he's thinking, all right, Namshar's on 2 bases. I don't want to make a ton of Lings and be unable to break that.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's possible that he goes for a really aggressive Ling flood off the back of this, but I don't really think that's necessary to take the base there. If you're gonna do that, like,
that's a good point.
I don't know. We'll see. This is not like a thing that I see a lot, so I don't have that much insight.
I've not seen any of this. I've not seen this happen once here. Obviously, Eternal Empire, a map where generally, if you're going into the natural, you're coming up on this ramp. If you're going into the third, you're coming up this ramp. Overlords as well. You can see Silky has sent his towards the natural in the third.
Yeah, you're never going to send an Overlord up towards that 12 o'clock base. There's no reason to send it there. It's just not a good place to have an Overlord 90% of the time. Just speaking about the fact that we're on Eternal Empire, it's a little weird to me that Silky didn't veto this, given his time constraint.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so there is always the possibility that if Silky goes in, if the Lings manages to, like, get some insight, and based on the gas timings and just, you know, the general worker count, he might be able to deduce that there is in fact a third. But the Queen there is able to poke those away quite effectively, and he's not going to check the north base, I don't think.
No.
Unless Namshar has been doing this on ladder, which I mean, this is exactly the kind of build that you would not do on ladder if you're planning on busting it out in a tournament. So this is going to be really interesting. We have an Evo Chamber on the way up, Roach Warren also on the way up for both players. Silky, he definitely expects some kind of a Roach play, just because you're not going to go mass Lings off 2 base. But just the additional economy that Namshar is going to have is going to be really interesting. And it also might end up being a situation where Silky expects this to be a lot more committed than it is. So maybe he cuts workers at like 44 while Namshar goes up to like 50 and just applies some fake pressure with some Roaches. That could also be the main idea here. But generally speaking, like, this is a really interesting play out of Namshar. And thus far, we see a little bit in the way of Zergling production coming in from Silky, and this could also just be him gearing up for what he perceives to be an attack.
That's what I'm reading from these. Is if you're Silky in this situation, and you're very unsure, I mean, you can see Silky's third is finished, he's getting a few drones on it, but making a lot of units. Do you sack an Overlord? Do you try in ZVZ? Is that a thing that we could expect to see?
No, it's not a thing you do. Like, the Overlord vision for Lings and just moving out is much more important than anything you're going to get from flying in, because it's unlikely that you're going to get much information. And even if he did fly an Overlord into the main, he's going to see a lair timing that's reminiscent of a normal 2-base opening anyway. So Namshar is doing basically everything timed out the way a 2-base timing would, or a 2-base build would be timed out. But he's just being exceptionally greedy. So it's a massive mind game here that he's really doubling down on as far as committing to just trying to sell this story. And he's even going to be taking a 3rd base now. And it's a weird 3rd base timing, right? But if Silky sends a bunch of links here and cancels that base, he doesn't really care. Like, he doesn't really care if Silky cancels this.
I mean, right now, Silky's got a lot of units on the map. It's going to be very hard to break Namshar, of course, because the wall is very good. Namshar on roaches himself. You're never getting in here, right? But if Namshar is to overextend...
Yeah, so I feel like Namshar expects that base to go down, right? Like, that base is made... Like I talked about earlier, how he's sort of doubling down and really trying to sell this story. I think he might have actually seen the Lings coming over from the left-hand side.
He's definitely seen it now.
But I think the whole point of that is, yeah... But like the whole point of that is he's once again just trying to be like, all right, Silky, if he cancels that base, Silky then feels, oh, all right, he's trying to expand. I'm in a great position. I don't need to make workers, right? And Silky, while he has closed the worker gap,
he's going. Oh, and this is where Silky goes off. For frick's sake. So Silky finally gets a scout. He goes in with an overseer as well. A few Lings, of course, going to get in. A couple of drones, which is nice. But this base has more than done its job. It went up very early. Shut up, EPM. Why did I open that? And Namshar has been able to pull ahead here. You can see he is down in workers though, but a lot of them on the way here. And
yeah, there was a moment where Namshar was up 54 to 37 workers. So even though he's a little bit down right now, he's had a lot of them mining for so much longer that he's absolutely mined more resources than Silky at this point. And you can see that reflected in the army supply count, the fact that he's getting a little bit earlier of a +2, as well as having a +1 carapace on the way. He's even investing in Overlord speed, which is always nice to have in ZVZ as well, just for that additional map vision. And at this point, he's already got roach speed too, so he has a bit of a tech advantage there, and he's moving out with this massive swell of roaches, which really could apply quite a lot of pressure. Silky should have his +1 done by the time they hit.
It is done. So you mean armor? Yeah, the +1 is done.
No, sorry, his speed. I'm an idiot. But here we go. Silky's going to get a little bit of a concave advantage here, but more roaches coming in, and the speed's not quite done. So a little bit more maneuverability on the roaches up Namshar, but I just don't think he necessarily has the numbers here. It's about even. There's a much closer reinforcement point for Silky, obviously. He's able to ward off Namshar, and I think overall, the advantage that Namshar had from that base is not really gonna amount to too much as the game goes on. I think we're in a pretty even position, though he is going for burrow and tunneling claws, which is kind of nice to have.
One thing I will say is that upgrades are going to swing in favor of Namshar pretty soon, right? He's getting +1 carapace, and Silky doesn't have that. Silky playing off a single Evo chamber. So once that 2-1 kicks in, Namshar will be able to take more cost-efficient trades here. And if he can snowball that, you never know, especially with tunneling claws and things like that, the ability to not only regen, but also to be a stealthy, sneaky little bitch and try and find some damage. Namshar's got potential to get things rolling in his favor once again. He is down in supply right now, but it is mainly just a swell of roaches. Why is Namshar making 2 more roach warrens? Analyze that, bitch.
What? Okay, so he lost 1. It looks like Silky actually killed the one at his natural expansion, which is nice to have. But like, I think this is probably him making the Roach Warren and then like forgetting that he'd already made the Roach Warren and remaking it in the main as well. This is definitely a mistake. He's already got the Roach upgrades as well, so it's not like he's going to be getting speed and tunneling claws at the same time or some shenaniganry like that. But Silky picking off that Roach Warren is nice. It delays the Roach production by a ton. There's 22 in production, which means that that's 44 supply that's not here right now. Plus 2 characters canceled. Silky pouncing on top of this much smaller army.
Yeah, not only that, but tunneling clause was cancelled for Namshar, so he has no way of going for that sneaky play we spoke about. That Roach Warren in the front going down, which the Observer so violently missed. I think that could be really bad. It looks like Namshar will hold just with Defender's advantage. That +1 carapace upgrade that we spoke about earlier ends up paying up in dividends here. I think he had more Ravagers too, sitting at 5 remaining to the 1 of Silky. Yeah. And I think Namshar can push, no?
Yeah, I think it looks like he probably can. He's going to catch the army once again, picks off a couple of the units, including the last Ravager, which should be going down. Looks like it might get away. He's trying to focus it down. But Silky now has Tunneling Claws, which is something that you mentioned Namshar does not have. So Silky, he's going to try to use his own Defender's advantage to try to survive for as long as possible while he tries to get a little bit of damage done on the other side of the map. Great engagement point here. Namshar is not able to push down that ramp just yet. And we'll see just what these roaches can do. They're running into the third right now. There are some reinforcing roaches that Namshar is going to be using to defend, and now he comes for the push. There is a large army advantage for Namshar here, though, and it looks like it might just be too much.
Yeah, the Ravagers as well, just raining down fire onto the army here of Silky. Silky doesn't have enough left over. Supply takes a 50 lead here for the fake Canadian Swede, and Namshar picks up map 1.
I think a lot of that came down to, obviously, Silky went super all in with that push. I think really Namshar must have reacted incredibly quickly to put those the Roachwarren replacements,
yes,
both of them, down very quickly. Silky clearly thought that he had a little bit more time than he actually did, and was not expecting those additional 22 Roaches to be in production quite as early as they were. So really, really good crisis management there by Namshar, and Silky definitely felt a little pressured as soon as he saw that hidden third base. I don't think he necessarily realized that they were a lot closer than he might have thought, but at the end of the day, Namshar is able to put one on the board as we move over to the lobby for Death Aura.
Yeah, another really standard map. I will let you know what map 3 is going to be as I find my... No, will I? No, because it's not been put onto my spreadsheet. So I won't let you know what map 3 is going to be. But Death Aura, another very standard map made by the ever-talented Maris. Absolutely incredible map maker. And also my friend.
I think that Maris is...
I think she's the best modern map maker. I'll say.
I was gonna say that I consider her in many ways a modern day Avex in the way that her maps are all really pretty and like she uses them like a canvas to be a bit of an artist with them. And Avex used to do the same thing. His maps used to always be super pretty. And I mean the other folks put a lot of effort into making them look nice as well, but I feel like she goes the extra mile just to make it aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah,
which is very nice. I mean, it is more important than we realize, right? Like, obviously, it doesn't affect the gameplay at all. But if you're sitting there watching the same 7 maps because you're a big StarCraft fan,
you think of like Disco Bloodbath, which in my opinion is probably the best looking map we've ever had. Maybe like Metalopolis, some of those like Rhone City ones I really like personally.
I actually really like. I'm gonna be a hipster. All right. You know what? I think the prettiest. Well, my favorite. I don't know if I would call it the prettiest, but my favorite map to look at was Detox, an Avex map that I think was only used on base trade. I believe it was Avex's first like well-regarded map, but I liked that map a lot.
I'm trying to remember it.
Oh, I had some fun games there. I beat Naniwa on that map once. That's why I remember it.
And instantly it becomes a better map. In the bottom right-hand side, playing for Psystorm Gaming is the Red Zerg player trailing in the series. It's Silky.
He's down 1-0 against the man at the top left, the Blue Zerg player. It's none other than Namshar.
My boy.
I've always liked the name Namshar. It's a good name.
You can roll your R's. I can't do it. I've tried for hours.
Namshar.
That gives me tingles. So, if you're Silky in this game, I mean, we have a slightly smaller map. It's easy to get across. It's slightly thin. It's not quite as wide. I don't think we'll see Namshar do the same thing, right? That's kind of a gimmicky one map.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's also like Eternal Empire, like while the rush distance might be a little bit more, the big thing about Eternal Empire is that it's just a massive map.
It's so wide, right? Yeah, there's so many bases.
So, Death Aura. What I think is a little bit awkward for Silky, right? We've talked... I don't want to beat this dead horse in... Whoa! Okay, that's an interesting place we just want to go. But, all right. I don't want to... Oh, wow, they're both doing it. Wow, I'm
it's for the 12-pool drone. It stops spines going down on the very edge of your team.
I haven't played Zerg very much lately. I've been grinding Protoss. but yeah, I think, like, of all the players to have a sort of a hard time limit, Silky is probably one of the worst people to have to deal with that because Silky excels in the late game. He is the quintessential macro Zerg. He is so good in those games. And while he's always capable of playing a little bit aggressive, and we see him win those games sometimes, he definitely feels a lot more comfortable in the late game. So it's a little bit unfortunate for him to be in this sort of position. And I'm wondering if we're going to see him go for sort of a mid-game timing, if we're going to see him do something a little cheeky, maybe a Nidus, just because... I mean, obviously, I don't know how hard this time limit is. He said he has a meeting. I don't know what kind of a meeting it is. If it's like a really important work meeting, then like,
can you zoom in StarCraft at the same time?
Boss?
You can zoom in StarCraft at the same time. Get like RTX voice so they can't hear your keyboard, and just like pretend you're paying attention. I can do that. What do you think I'm doing right now? I'm labyrinth.
Yeah. You think that 7K today, is that the goal?
Yeah, for sure. So, third's going down for both players. At standard times here, nothing exceptionally odd in this game. Overlord's going to see everything, of course, from both players. I should go and check the third locations pretty soon. Just kidding, haha. But they saw the drones transferring anyway, so... Baneling List's going to go down here, and we'll hopefully get to see some Ling Bane this game, because we completely skipped that last game. And I think Namshar relied on that, right? If Silky had gone for like a big Ling Bane push... With his base hidden and reinforcements so far, plus no Banelingness, he never made one, I believe. He'd have been in trouble.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely something that Namshar went for as a result of studying Silky. I'm sure that's not the kind of thing that you bust out just against insert Zerg player here. It's something that is definitely specifically prepared. But I don't think I feel like whenever you do a sort of a Mimi build like that, or a sort of Mimi opening, you always consider like what effect that's going to have on the rest of the series, right? When players prepare for these kinds of series, they prepare individual builds, of course, but they also prepare for the series as a whole. So
yes,
Namshar is unlikely to skip Baneling Nest immediately after skipping it the last game, because Silky is more likely to try to take advantage of that, right? So we'll see. Silky is applying quite a bit of pressure. 4 Banelings on the way, and a little bit of micro coming out of the last big Baneling connection there by Namshar, and that's just going to end this aggression essentially before it began. 20 more Lings on the way, though. Looks like Silky might be trying to go all in here, and losing that many Lings that early on loses you a ton of momentum.
So,
and oh my god,
the good thing for Silky here is that Namshar built an Evo chamber, so he has slightly less money overall. But Namshar's up 8 drones, and every second that goes by, you can see he is mining that little bit more. He's a little bit more efficient. 24 more Lings on the way right now for Namshar. He already has some Banelings up. His queens are in position. He is continuing to produce queens too. Currently sitting at 3. We should see a 4th, maybe even a 5th come out here. As long as Namshar can dodge the Banelings here, he'll be in a great position. He's doing a really, really good job of it so far.
We saw a second really big Baneling connection. That one was pretty nice. Okay, all of a sudden, things are switching a little bit. I mean, Silky's still down in supply, but with only 2 Banelings out and not really much in the way of Lings, Silky can micro around this, gets both of the Banelings, has the opportunity to pounce on the Queen here, and this, all of a sudden, it's not by any means over or anything. 28 more Lings on the way for Namshar is a large count, but the momentum has absolutely swung in Silky's favor. Can he find some hits with these Banelings? They're trying to come on in. Another Queen goes down. A decent connection there on the ramp, as now there are drones fighting for their lives. The last Baneling for Silky at the minute does go down, but he's got 2 more on the way in the natural. Oh, and Namshar blows up one on the cocoon! A massive Baneling connection! And Silky may have pulled out what looked to be an impossible push.
Yeah, after losing those first Lings to that big Baneling hit, he just managed to find a couple of really good hits of his own. This Baneling's going to finish. Oh, you're playing with fire, son.
There, man.
Namshar is able to push him out, but Namshar down to 25 to 31 workers. He has next to no army supply. Now, he does have an Evo chamber, so his macro potential is a little bit further ahead, as we still have no Evo chamber down here.
But if
in
you
terms
look at
of queens, Namshar is ahead.
Yeah, but if you look at the hatcheries, the main just got injected. It wasn't being injected for a while. The natural's also not being injected. The queens are at the front fighting because they need to be there. And they are picking off some Banelings here, as well as getting a pretty big Baneling connection on the left-hand side. Oh, man, all of a sudden, Silky looks like he may have overextended here. The queens are doing so much work. Yeah. Getting absolutely tons of Banelings here. Looked like 7 or so went down.
23 kills on those queens.
Yeah, Silky now... He is droning up behind this. I really feel like he should have done this immediately after knocking down those 16 drones, to be honest, because he is ahead as far as supply goes, but he doesn't really have that much of an eco lead at the minute.
Namshar's done a great job to come back here. Oh! Okay, Namshar now completely deflects the pushes. His queens, the MVPs in this, 13 kills, 0 kills, 10 kills, so 23 kills. That number still may increase. Baneling's continuing to do so much. I mean...
Oh, that was pretty good, though, for Silky, and he's actually going to get a couple of drones.
Yeah, it's not an... He's going to be able to pick up the remainders here with these Lings, and that's nice. 5 drones do go down. Actually giving Silky a 9 drone count, and he's transitioning into roaches. His roach warren has completed. He is making some drones and an Evo chamber, but +1 carapace very, very nearly done here for Namshar. His roach warren will go down, and I still kind of like... I don't know.
I actually think Silky's in an okay position. The biggest issue is that I feel like he could have been in a much better position if he droned up a little bit earlier. The +1 carapace is a pretty reasonably big deal. It does mean that the roaches will take 1 more hit to kill the Zerglings, which is always nice to have. The roaches, though, as soon as Silky gets up to a decent number, they will spiral to the point where the Lings can't really kill them. But we see Namshar poking forward, trying to get a little bit of damage here and there. And, I mean, really, these Banelings are kind of important. We'll see if he's able to get anything. There's nothing really walling this guy. 5 Banes is going to be able to do a lot of damage if he doesn't react properly.
Namshar getting into the mineral line here. He is going to pick up 7 drones immediately. More to follow. 12 go down. Now Namshar takes that drone lead back. A very back and forth game here from both of our Zerg players, but it looks like Namshar may have pulled ahead. He has the upgrade advantage. His roach count now is going to be up to 8 already. He still has a very good economy at home. Silky's trying to drone up, and I'm a little bit worried for him because Namshar is... Okay, he is droning now. Namshar was only making roaches. Namshar getting in again. Maybe able to get a few more drones here, maybe even split off a Ling or two and try and hide some Banelings. You know, we do have Baneling run by here for Silky.
8 more drones go down, and this is an incredibly even game. This really kind of personifies the whole knife fight in the phone booth that we hear people describe DBZ as sometimes. I do like this Spire coming down from Silky. He knows exactly what's going on Namshar's side of the map, but this does open up a window for Namshar. If he identifies that this is what's going on, he could go for a really, really aggressive timing and try to kill off Silky, especially with the +1 finishing up the roaches. There is no roach speed because there's no lair quite yet. So that will be delayed a little bit. So I think that's honestly what Silky is kind of banking on. He scouts that. He saw that the lair was not yet done, and that's when he threw the Spire down. So I think that was kind of the calculation that went into effect there. I still feel like Silky is in a slightly favorable position here. The 4th base coming down a lot for both players now at essentially the same time.
Yeah.
Man.
When all is said and done, we're kind of falling into a standard mid-game here. As you said, I do like it if the Roach player is able to establish and figure out that it is going to be Muta, that they do move. Namshar hasn't been able to get anywhere near. He's not got those Cerulins that are covered in lard and able to slip by. So the Spire going completely unscouted. It's now going to finish. The bank for Silky is a little low. He's got no minerals. His gas bank, of course, is pretty good. He'll be able to produce a couple of mutas pretty quickly. +2 ranged on the way. So we're not going to see a huge commitment to mutas here. Instead, Ravagers being walked in. Actually, we've not seen any mutas despite the Spire. And I kind of think he needed to make some Overlords.
No. So I feel like the game plan of the Spire here is, you'll see players do this sometimes, and Silky has been a fan of this a little bit. And essentially the game plan is he's going to make 5-6 mutas at some point. He's going to be able to clear off Overlords, but the real way those sort of come into play is not really going after drone damage or anything. It's really to give Silky an opportunity to try to pick off Namshar's Ravagers, especially when he's mid-map. Because Ravagers have quite squishy HP counts. They're not very strong defensively.
They're light units, right?
So I mean, honestly, the Ravager count here for Silky's also better. So he's trying to find a little bit of damage here, and if he can get the 4th base, that's going to be pretty nice. We have a couple of bios coming on down. The defender's advantage does appear to be enough for Namshar to hold on for now. Silky is going to disengage, and now the mutas come in. There's really no anti-air there, so while they are here to go after the Ravagers, he could try to target down the hatchery even.
Yeah, there's no spores. There's barely any queens on the map. All the queens now come in trundling over, which does mean no injects. We're going to see a good set of bios. Send the mutas. Send the mutas to kill the base.
I mean, oh my god. He actually stacked that army specifically to kill the hatchery, and he did not get it. No transfusions just yet. We do see him using these mutas to pick up a decent chunk of
he's going to get it. He's going to get it. He's going to get it.
Yeah, he's going to get it. And the mutas, you can see them chasing this army away. They picked off all but one of the Ravagers. And the Roaches in the 3rd getting 7 workers as well. So overall, Silky has managed to spiral. He's up 50 supply at this point. The mutas giving him a lot more map control and really kind of punishing Namshar every time he tries to come out and fight. At this point, he's going after Overlord, supply blocking Namshar. There's no anti-air in the 3rd either, and that's going to be another huge chunk of economic damage.
Yeah, I mean, look at the supply right now. It's just spiraled massively for Silky. Of course, he is producing a good amount of roaches, and they are currently rallying across the map or in production, so not all of the supply is here, but it is a pretty substantial lead that Psystorm Zerg has been able to pick up. Namshar trying desperately to get back, but the drone count now as well is spiraling out of control here for Namshar. It looks like Silky's getting closer and closer to taking us to a map 3. A desperation move here of Burrow and tunneling claws for Namshar, but I think it's money he needed to spend on units or something like that. He has so much gas right now that he just can't spend as well, which, you know, relatively typical in DBZ. Silky, maybe sending his units in 1 or 2 at a time isn't been great for him. Needs to try and bring the boys together here, and that's what he's going to do. But...
All right, Grant, we're going to play a game. Without checking, how many workers do you think Silky's killed in this game?
31.
Try 63.
Oh my god!
That's insane. And now we do see Silky regrouping. He's made a lot more Ravagers. He's got a decent chunk of Roaches, a 60 supply lead, 40 of it in Army. And actually, that's kind of a cool unburrow by Namshar to try to go after the Ravagers. The piles come down, and GG is called. Whew. Nice game. That was fun.
Yeah. Really, really exciting ZVZ there. We will now be moving into a map 3. I'm very concerned Silky has to be in a meeting in about 4 minutes.
12 could throw and pull.
Yeah, I would not be surprised.
I mean, here's a question though. Here's like we like to analyze the effects of like being out of the game, right? Like the preparations and all that. What if Silky doesn't have a meeting? What if this has all been preparation to get Namshar to expect a 12 pull in game 3?
And he goes 4 hatch before pull.
Giga brain right here.
That would be sick.
All right. So, Everdream. Or Evergreen, as somebody called it earlier. I like Evergreen. That was weird to me. I was like, oh man, did they add a new map that I missed somehow?
No,
Evergreen's nice though. It's another Maras map.
We see this same 3 maps every 99% of all best of 3s right now. Dream, Death Aura, and Eternal Empire. So I'm not surprised. Let's do it, man.
Alrighty. Here we go. Game number 3. It's been a fireworky series, an explosive series, and in the top right, going for the 13-12. It's our red Zerg player for Storm Gaming. It's Silky.
His opponent in the bottom left, is he going to expect it? Typically a macro Zerg player representing no team, but he is representing Sweden and now Canada. It's Namshar. Namshar's going to expand. Namshar's going to expand.
I mean, 16 pool maybe? He's not rallied anything down yet.
He's not. Oh, yes.
No, Namshar. I mean, so the context here is that Silky wasn't hiding the fact that he had a meeting. He was talking about this in the players' channel. So I guess Namshar just doesn't want to overthink things. He just wants to play the games the game that he prepped for, which does make sense. It's fun to theorize what could have been if he decided to be a little bit more mind gamey, but at this point in time, so far this doesn't look amazing for Namshar. Of course, it's not like this is an auto win or anything. It's not 2016 anymore. But the Zerg players have had 5 years to prep for this exact build. So we've gotten decent at holding it with Hatch first.
Yeah, it can definitely be done. It's a macro battle, micro fight even. Baneling Nest coming down as well here for Silky. So this is about as all-in goes. Silky will not be looking to expand, at least for the foreseeable future. Of course, if he killed 19 of the 19 drones that Namshar had and Namshar stayed in the game, then it's not an all-in anymore. But this has gone completely unscouted, hasn't it? Namshar hasn't seen it.
There's 2 ways to play a sort of 13-12
I see it. Sorry. Caught glimpse.
Oh, okay. So, and Silky is playing the more aggressive way. Like, there is a variation of this where you, instead of the queen, you prioritize a hatchery for your additional larva, and you put yourself in a little bit of a better position economically. But at this point in time, we have a spine going up, which is a bit of an interesting way to approach this. This is not the most standard way to hold this, but good micro on the drone so far. 1 does go down. 1 link also goes down, though. Overall, I think Namshar is going to be pretty okay with that initial trade. Silky's going to try to catch a couple links here on the low ground. That's not bad, and here come the Banelings! Oh, no!
Okay. Now, the spine is going to finish in the main. The natural, of course, will be ramsacked here. Another spine going down in the main. It's not going to be done in time to save us. The queen coming out will instantly be surrounded. She's in for a bad day at the office, and she will go down. Now we have more Banelings coming in. The spine is done in the main. The second one will be cancelled. The queen trying to do what it can. The Baneling forced to back off here. This isn't too bad so far from Silky. The natural still stands. He is down a couple of workers, but of course, he has queens as in a... Oh, okay, so does Namshar. Namshar did build it. So did Silky.
Oh, that's
Silky
a good catch on the queen. Good fire coming down the Banelings initially.
Oh,
man,
my
Silky
God.
is going so all in here. He could expand behind this, but he's not opting to.
He has a good time.
Oh my God, another decent Baneling hit. Generally, in this kind of a situation, 3 links for a Bane is a decent trade.
That's 4.
That's like... That's 5 for 2, which is okay. I really, oh man, like Silky, You can see just how all in he is, and he's going after the spine now. Is he gonna
spine,
get it? He's gonna lose so many lings to do this, though.
The spine goes down. Are there any more banelings coming in? Look how many lings are reinforcing them.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I think that might be it here. Banelings warping in the back. Namshar desperately trying to make a queen, desperately trying to make some lings. But I just don't know if it's going to be enough. Drone's forced to fight here. Silky still has a drone disadvantage. The banelings are going to finish. Goodbye.
A bit slow on the explosion there.
Could have been worse. I mean...
it could have been worse, but it's not going to matter at this point. 6 drones down. The biggest problem is the lack of injects for so long. The queen does have the ability to inject now. But, man, actually, I feel like those 2 lings might be able to actually kill the queen.
Yeah. Get him,
now
boys.
He's going to die. He's going to go more. Gets the queen. Still no inject going down. That's a pretty big oversight. But, I mean, at this point, he doesn't really have the money for the inject anyway.
No, he can spend
and more and more lings are flooding across. Ooh. And so this is just Silky slowly but surely beating Namshar into submission.